What's going on, guys? Misk Channeler. Today, welcome you to another video. Today, I have decided to start work on a sword. And not just any old sword, my first sword project. And the actual forging will come quite a bit later. I have a client that I'm actually working on, so her product takes priority, and unfortunately I will not be recording that because it will probably detract from the actual quality of the product. So here is part one of the sword making process, and that little bit is the actual design. Now, you can't really make stuff without having some sort of print. In this case, it's just normal graph paper. But I think that with a little bit of time, patience, and rather acute measurements, I will be able to make a design of a sword perfectly. So I have a couple of criteria that I need to meet. 1, a 2-inch pommel. 2, a 5-inch handle, because this is going to be a one-handed sword. 3, a 1-inch guard. 4, a 30-inch blade. Now, for a lot of people, 30 inches of blade is quite a bit. But that's also rather good. Now, a lot of smaller one-handed swords are wavering in between 24 and 28 inches. I want this to be a slightly longer sword. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each one of these boxes and have it act as 1 inch. So, start up at the top, and there's the tip of my blade. And then I go down. This might require a ruler. Yes, this most definitely will require a ruler of some sort. Straight edge will work, but basically I go 6 actual inches down from that point. Let's go that way so that you might be able to see my line a little bit better. 6 actual inches down from that point, and that will give me, 30 divided by 4. Because each one of these boxes is actually a 1/4 inch. Crap. Okay, wait, hang on. That's just 7.5 inches. Okay, yeah, I can work with that. So 5 there? No, that can't be it. Okay, so 7 inches from there is 5. Damn, okay, that's a lot longer of a sword than I thought it would be. So let's just count this out. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. Damn, that 30 inches. Okay, that is rather long. So let's make this a little bit shorter. Let's put that right in the middle of that 24 to 28 inches, and let's bring that back 4 inches. Now, as you might be able to see, I've made a mark here and a mark here. That signifies my blade. Now, the opening to my forge is only 2 inches, maybe 3.5 inches wide. However, the back opening of the forge is only about 2 inches, maybe 2.5. So I'm going to have to work with those parameters. So I'll just mark out where I need those. So the actual blade is only going to be 2 inches wide at the widest point. And I want a very, very slight taper so that I get a much better cut. Now, I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing yet, but it'll all be fixed in post if you can't. So, you know what, forget the taper, it'll just be a lot simpler if I bring it out about 4, 6, 8 inches there, 8 inches there, and then form my point off of that. Ah, crap. Lead broke. And this is actually the first look that you guys will probably have of my design process. Now for this I'm just using general purpose graph paper notebook. I've got quite a few different designs in here, but this is the first one that I'm actually thinking of practically and conforming to all of the regulations that I have set before myself. Or rather, restrictions, not regulations. Regulations are a bit different than restrictions. Okay. And this will probably be a mostly uncut video, simply because I need content. And, yeah, the actual forging of the sword will come much, much later. Like, I'm talking maybe the first episode, or yeah, the first episode will come out in December, kind of much later. And, by the way, the war has been going on very, very nicely for myself. You guys haven't been leaving comments, though, which is kind of surprising. Especially considering that I specifically asked for comments telling me, wait, hang on, no I didn't. Okay, just forget what I just said there. Post a comment down below on how you think I'm doing, what you guys like, what you don't like about my videos. Just give me some feedback. I need some feedback. Alright, so I've got my blade roughly drawn out. Yeah, you get it. Oh god. Anywho, so there's my blade. I don't know if you can see it very well, but hopefully you can. And let's just see here. So my guard, I only want to be a maximum of 1 inch. So, but I can bring it out a little bit of curve. I can have a bit of a curve to my guard. And let's just say that the 4-inch mark is the center ridge of my blade. So my blade comes out to 3 and 5. If I have a 3-inch there and a 3-inch there, that brings out the total length of the guard to 8 inches. I'm not sure if that's the right size that I want, but it's worth a shot seeing how the scale goes. So let's bring that out 3 inches there and half an inch up, 3 inches there and half an inch up, and sort of just doing that little bit, and your very simple Bob's your uncle kind of curve up to that. Same over here. And then half an inch there, half an inch there, and then sort of just orient the paper for a slightly better curve. Yep, that looks good. That looks really good. And that does not look nearly as good. Anywho, yeah, I kind of like that. The blade is nicely proportioned with the guard. I like that. And overall, it just looks very good. However, I feel like it could use a little something extra. So what I'm going to do is basically just draw a little point right there, half an inch up, and have a couple of straight lines going directly from here to that point. And what that'll do is have a slightly Habaki style guard, in that the point actually sort of goes up onto the blade, almost like a landjet. And you know what? I'm actually going to do a slight induced curve in that. And sorry for the knife video that I've been talking about not going up this week. As far as I'm concerned right now, it kind of fell out. It might still come out. At this point, I really don't know. However, I can show you the finished product. I have it right here with me. And this is it. Not the best knife that's ever come out of the world, but it's definitely my best knife and my most finished knife, as you can see by the karambit. And these are both mild steel. This is actually 01. I forged it out of a crowbar. If the video ever comes out, you will be able to see my forging of it. And this is just a little training knife for form and the actual practice of the craft. It's got a nice little paracord wrapped handle. First handle I've ever done, actually, and it's paracord, and it's actually really comfortable. But both the crap, my tablet is only at 15% battery life remaining, and I don't know how much my head will get in the way of this. I haven't really been super self-conscious about that so far, but maybe it gets in the way, maybe not. Anywho, that's the knife. That's the knife, and it might still come out. I forged it out of a crowbar. It's 01 steel, perfect heat treat. I've not really done much with it, but it's got a little convex grind there, and it whittles pretty well. And I guess that's what you call a Scandinavian grind, because the actual convex grind is the edge. It just fades into the edge. There's no secondary bevel here. Anywho, back to the design of the sword. I want a 1.5 inch top of my handle, so what I'm going to do here is just come out 0.75. Let's see, so what's a quarter of a quarter? That's a 16th. What I'm going to come out here is 3/4 of a square here and here, and I have a 5-inch handle requirement, so I'm just going to go right there. And I want this to have a slight curve to it that ends in a 2-inch wide handle. Now, 2 inches is kind of big. However, it's not going to be a circular handle, it's going to be an oval handle. So, I don't really know how to illustrate this. I've got a paper towel roll here. 2 inches is roughly the size of that, and it's 1.5 inches that way. And this is actually kind of a little bit too big. However, if I size that down to 1.5 inches, come on, there we go, 1.5 inches there, it's a little bit more manageable, and that probably wasn't the best illustration, but there will be a slight curve to it, and I want the actual curve to end up a little bit more down in the handle, where I won't be grabbing it quite as much. I want the hand to have a nice, almost like a choking up, like here's the guard, here's the rest of the stuff. I want your hand to be able to kind of choke up on the sword. And I think that will help significantly, and that is more than the 5 inches that I allowed myself. Wow, great job, Sam. That's just a wonderful job you did there. So in the final 2 inches, you kind of want your hand to sort of resist moving up on the, or rather moving down on the handle. So far, we've got our handle roughed out, our guard roughed out, and our blade roughed out. Next up is the pommel. I've had a couple of design ideas on the pommel, and the one that I like the most has got to be this one that I'm just about to draw right here. It's 2 inches long, about 3 inches wide, which will fit, hopefully, into the forge far enough in to actually be able to forge out. If not, then I will have to rethink my design. But it is quite a piece to look at. And that's it. Just super simple, it just fades right into the handle. And because of that choke, you won't really have a tendency to grab onto the pommel. However, due to that choke, you might, just might, be able to sort of grab right onto the pommel just a little bit if you need some extra leverage. Now, that's not necessarily the most recommended tactic from what I've learned on the great tubes of you, but it is sometimes necessary. So, that is our sword design, roughly drawn out. Now, in order to refine this, it will take a little bit of time. And the first step in doing that is just shading in the pommel and guard. And I'm doing this not only to signify flats, as in a flat grind, but I'm also doing it to signify that I want these to be still having forged scale on them, because I think that will add a very nice aesthetic to the hopefully near mirror polish that I want the blade to have. Now, you can see here possibly that I have drawn a little tiny divider line, and that's because I want the guard to have almost a sort of diagonal cross-section. So instead of having the guard be like that, and this is nowhere to scale, I want the guard to have a sort of diamond cross-section. And that'll reduce weight quite a bit because this will be a very heavy piece. And as you can see, I did not do that on the pommel because I want this to be very nice to hold. And I don't think that would be the smartest decision, and you're not going to be grabbing onto the actual guard. Unless, of course, you're an idiot who's never seen a sword before. Now, next up is the actual sketching of the blade bevels. And what I'm doing here is I'm just going in almost perfectly to where my arcs start, into the point, and then I erase to there. And then I come in with my own little mini arcs, And this is not a fuller, this is actually the geometry of the bevel. So this will be flat bevel, this will be flat bevel, and this will be flat. The center line will be flat, and then I will have this center line leading into the point. Okay, now for the finalization. I really love this design, and I think that this is the one that I'm going to go with for the actual sword. And this is the design that I've never made before except for this pommel. I've never made this length of blade before. I've never really quite done this style of blade. Well, the style of blade, yes. The style of point, not with the exact measurements, but yes, before I have done it. And it's always turned out quite nice. And just coming in here with a pen to really make those lines pop. And sorry if my head is getting in the way. I do not know whether or not it is, but I will definitely see whether or not it is in post-production, which will come in about, I'd say, 10 minutes. And I'm just lining up my ruler with all of the lines that I made in pencil, and I'm coming in and sketching them up in pen. Perfect. At least all of my straight lines. That way I have a nice consistent straight. And then for these arcs, I'm just following the pencil as closely as possible and making it symmetrical as possible. Coming in on the point. Not sure if my head is getting in the way. And here you can really see the point geometry. You got this really nice arc into the point, and I think that it will hold up quite well. I mean, I'm not even sure if you can actually see what I'm doing on the paper, but I'm just going over in pen, following pencil lines, and really solidifying those into reality, or at least as close as we can get so far to reality. And perfect. Not quite yet exactly perfect, but close, very, very close, and getting ever closer. Now, the reason why I didn't shade this in is because I want that to have the mirror polish, and I don't want to confuse it with the forged scale guard and pommel. Yeah, that's looking really good. And naturally this will be a wood handle. Let's see if I can just solidify that line a little bit more. And there you go. There is a very basic design of a sword. Now you're welcome to follow all of the steps here and make this sword for your own. And I need to solidify that line that I forgot about. And I really do hope that you enjoyed this video, and I really, really hope that this design survives long enough for me to actually make it. So, Misc Channeler signing off. Please do make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this channel with your friends, and I will see you in the next video.